Welcome. Good afternoon, friends and neighbors. Hope you're doing well. This is Faisal Hassan, your member of Provincial Parliament. I join you every Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and also to answer your questions. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge at this time the land that we now know as York Southwestern is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Shanabe, the Chepway, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Welcome, everyone who is joining us through my Facebook page, and also those who are joining us also Instagram, and also Twitter and YouTube. Welcome, everyone, and hope all is well with you. Just give me a minute. I'll just set my my phone here so that I can see your comments quickly and share with you. Just give me a minute shortly, and I will be able to let me see here quickly. Yes, I can see you. Welcome, Jerry Groves, Nasra, and Michael, and also Michael Anthony says, "Good day, sir," and very nice to see you again. Frank says, "Good afternoon, Faisal. Nice to see you back." Jerry Smith, "Good afternoon, Faisal. Good afternoon to you and each and every one of you for joining again this afternoon from 3 to 4, and we have a lot of things to talk about. But welcome, and also now we are also those also who are joining us Instagram are welcome, and also those who are joining us. I see also MPP Faisal Hassan, Youth Council, joining. Welcome again. Just shouting out the wonderful work you are doing in the community. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to meeting you again. I know, guys, there was a lot of issues to talk about. Let's talk about also a 33 Gabion Way eviction situation, which I think came to an end in a good ending, and that's good. I want to thank the landlord who sat with us, with me and Alex, and also especially thanks to Mehnas Karimi, who was the property manager there. And I was also dismayed to learn of a proposed eviction of a single father over the Easter break, and at the 33 Gabion Way. The situation highlighted, folks, the many issues facing tenants in our community and the urgent need to deal with housing crisis in our community. I'm happy to report that I was able to facilitate a meeting with Alex and the landlord and a new lease agreement with Alex and also his landlord. Alex and his children will now be able to remain in their house, being stabilized there now. Thank you to many neighbors and advocates who stood with Alex during this stressful time for him and for his family. He's a single father raising two young infants, and also there was also a lot of coverages about that. And this is also to thank everyone who really supported Alex. And thank you. Some of you also have reached out further to support Alex, and that's what community is all about, helping one another. And I'm so happy that there are many stories like this in our community, and we want all of them to come to a happy ending to that, and that they can remain to stay in our community. Well, also here, Jerry, I would like just to quickly read your comments. Jerry says, "What is happening with basement flooding in New York Southwestern? A lot of no action. Ombudsman's report, waste of time. Auditor General, same." Well, I will. I think yes, Jerry, I see and I hear you. Your frustration with the issues of flooding, and I agree with you. There have been neglect, not only the last 3 years, but the last 15 years. And this last 15 years was also a very difficult. And I know that also there's a concern with the reports of the Toronto Ombudsman, We know that Toronto has its own special ombudsman, but we also want to the issues you mentioned. We would like to also the Ontario ombudsman to look into this and see. And we have been engaging on your behalf and your neighbors' behalf, and still we haven't heard a clear answer of what they're going to do. And my perspective is they should look into this. And there are also many resources we've been told that the city hasn't accessed to support our communities. And that also we need to work with the city councillor and other officials in the city hall to make sure that they are also when infrastructure comes and when there is also construction happening, that also the engineers checks in that the end, when the work is completed, then there should be also an engineers making sure that the project is completed and it addresses what it was originally stated. And I think that is, we can do better on that. And we will need also the work of the ombudsman, Toronto ombudsman, to look into projects like that. And also, Jerry, I'm not you are a city councillor, I'm your member of provincial parliament, and I want to make sure that the Ontario ombudsman looks into this, and we have provided some suggestions. We'll share with you what we have done on that, and hopefully, we will get some resolution to it. Also, in that issues, I've also, as you know, asked the government to provide a relief for those affected, because when it rains, and it rains hard in our community, you and others in the community affected. And there's also been issues with the insurances. There's issues of also a lack of support for the community, and we need that also immediate relief. We also want 3 levels of government working together to make sure that infrastructure is also tackled, and that if it's a provincial environmental issues happening, we want to expedite it immediately so that these projects could start to prevent further flooding in our communities. And that's very important. And Jerry will update you, will work with you. And I want to also acknowledge the neglect of the last 15 years. They had plenty of opportunity, that government, and they haven't done so. And that was the Liberal government and the Dr. McGuinty, Kathleen Wynne. And now we have 4 Conservatives whom we have been trying to work with. And definitely there's also a lack of leadership in City Hall. There's no doubt about that. You mentioned that the community wanted the ombudsman to look into this, and the report of the ombudsman does not have that. And that's why I want to ask the Ontario ombudsman to look into this and see what is the gaps and what is the problem, okay? And definitely I'll let you know what they say about that. And I know that you've been working with our office, and we'll continue to do that as well to make sure we get the bottom of it. Thank you for joining me also, Jerry, this afternoon, and also for asking the question and also for commenting. Jardy Smith says, let me just get clear. I know where I live, the property manager and a tenant who is falling behind in their rent make agreements before it is taken to the tribunal. Well, I think you also be very careful also, Charity, what they're signing in that agreement. So they need the support, they need a lawyer, they make sure that what they're signing is also something that they're not just being evicted, because currently the 4 Conservatives have actually changed that law, which I opposed, and I don't think the tribunal is also sometimes more favor, not small pub landlords, family, small mom and landlords. We're talking about big corporations, and these favors them because they have more lawyers, they have more resources, and that's why also I say, Charity, be very careful what you're signing, okay? Just understand exactly what that is. Also, Jerry says, this is a huge concern in New York Southwestern. Definitely, Jerry, I'm aware of that. And, we have been, I visited in 2018. There was also a report. I've also heard the city councillors in that summer. They said that they're going to provide it. They said there is issues here. They're going to fix it. They're going to make it right. And we want them to do their job. And that also, I'll also encourage you to engage with the city councillor to get the bottom of this. And our part, we'll make sure if there's any issues from the provincial side, we'll make sure that the community is provided the support they need. And you can count my support and also advocating on behalf of our community, whether it is in your neighborhood or the southern part of the riding. Okay, thank you. Kerry says, will we have a mobile vaccine clinics in our neighborhoods? Oh, that's a very good question, Kerry. I mean, that the Friday, as you know, Ford Conservatives have announced now they are going to tackle the hotspots and high-risk neighborhoods because of our postal codes now. We are now the ages of 18 and above. We're eligible to get the vaccines. And now, but the confusion here is, Carrie, that there is no plan. We don't know up to now how we can get that mobile or how they're going to deliver that. And definitely, I'm going back on Monday to Queen's Park to hold them accountable and ask them exactly how this rollout is going to happen and what are the plans, because we don't just want Premier making an announcement and nothing happens. And we know that our community have been neglected, not only the last 3 years, but the last 15 years. And we know that also when the COVID started, March 13 last year, it took until September 28 for us to have a permanent testing facility here in 200 Church Street. And now, to this day, we do not have a permanent vaccination facility. And that's why also we want to thank the CEO of Humber River Hospital and the entire team led by Ruben and others are really doing a fantastic job. We have working with them to make sure our senior buildings get those vaccines quickly, because we have heard many stories our seniors could not get access to the lines and so forth and so forth. So we've taken that initiative to work with Humber River to make it happen. And we are so happy working with Barb Collins at the Humber River Hospital, and also the team that Ruben Rodriguez is also leading. And that's fantastic. That's Humber River Mobile Clinic that has been coming to some of the senior buildings. And we want them to continue doing that. But with the announcement the Premier made Friday, till now, Carrie, we have no idea how they're going to roll out. And we want this to happen immediately. And because we've waited for too long, and the hotspots like our community and others should be able to know exactly how this rolled out of the either a fixed location. Also, I've written to the Minister of Health, Kerry, asking Western Arena here, Western Lions Arena here, which is a huge space in our community, could be another hub for also vaccine facility, a permanent vaccination facility that could be included. We also have a lot of locations. We can also proceed with our teachers, and definitely we could make sure also our frontline workers and everybody who lives in the community could get above the ages of 18. But I just caution, still we do not know how this is going to be rolled out. And that's another thing we want to make sure this happens. And definitely Monday when I go back to Queen's Park, I'll be able to ask questions and see them how they're going to provide. What is the plan? And that's the question, Curry. And I'll be able to report back and provide more details. Those of you who are joining, just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP. You're joining Instagram, welcome. If you're joining Twitter, welcome. And if you're joining YouTube, welcome. And also those who are joining our Facebook page, I'll be able to engage and also answer your questions and also read your comments. Thanks, Curry, for asking me that. And definitely we want to have more vaccine locations so that our community can get the shots quickly and so that we are protected. And Angelina says here, Angelina, let me just read Angelina's question. It's a long one, but I will attempt to answer that. And says, let us talk about children's mental health in this ongoing lockdowns. Suicide rate is now 98%, she says. Now, this current government has further restricted certain activities. Staff, as simple as buying markers or bubbles at the dollar store is prohibited. Some say do online shopping. That's assuming everyone has the privilege of having the internet, credit card, etc. The ongoing silence by opposition across the board is astonishing. Why are you silent? Well, let me go back here, Angelina. We are not silent, and we have been standing up to this government. We have been really speaking up, and we talked about it. And I know that I know that we have been proposing it, and I see the lack of leadership of Ford Conservatives, and this is we've been propositioning to them since March last year. And if they would have listened, the experts and folks that have been really doing a good job, we would not have been where we are today. And that is solely the responsibility and the failure of the Ford Conservatives. And I think we have my leader have been standing up, have spoken, I have done that, advocating for our community, and we will continue to do that. And I hear you, but we could have done better if this would have dealt long time ago. And if we would have now, we are the third wave, you see, and we had opportunity to get our vaccines early on. And this is also another issue that solely that this Ford Conservatives is too really responsible, because they are the ones who are in charge in this. And if you were, as my leader Andrew Horvath said, you would have seen a different action and a swift action to make sure that we protect the communities and also deal with the issues, those who are affected more than the others. And that's where really needed to be tackled quickly. And we welcome to work with them to continue to propositioning, to bring to your concerns to them as well. But thank you for your comments and your question. Helen, welcome. Zagria, welcome. And Jerry says again, there need to be a financial relief of the 40 million spent. Well, I agree, Jerry. I think you and I have talked about this issue many times. Flooding is a big issue, and we also want to have a vision and a plan. And if you have read also our Green New Democratic Deal, talks about also a climate, hope, jobs, and also making sure that we give communities an opportunities. But I think I agree with you. We've also called for immediate relief for those affected on the flooding. And in our community, it really affects when it rains. It hits hard, and we need to provide that support. And definitely, you can count on me advocating, Jerry, to do that. And also, I have created a petition which you can also sign, and also to pressure the government more to hear our communities, like your community here in York South-Western. Michael says, thank you, Jerry. Michael says, I had, just give me a minute. It's a long comment, but I'll attempt to read it. I had a very stressful morning. That's Michael Anthony. I had an appointment for a vaccine because my 7-year-old son is in high-risk category. My wife got her vaccine this morning, but when I went, I was told I could not get mine because it is the only one caregiver per person. This strikes me as improper for so many reasons as policy, but also that there was no way to get in touch with anyone from the ministry. No staff were able to help figure out the way of helping to get me vaccinated and the policy. Well, that's a shame, Michael Anthony. I'm so sorry that happened this morning to you. And this is again, this government letting us and our community down again and again. There should be there people who would be able to tackle issues like these. What about if someone doesn't have or lost their health card too? Do they have to be canceled their appointment? No, they should be able to somebody there to make those decisions and facilitate these things. So definitely, Michael, I will raise these concerns. This is an unacceptable policy, and we need to make a quick resolutions to issues like this. And that's why we say, it's important that those downloading the provincial responsibility to localities has these concerns, and that we need also the ministry and the provincial side to be there to make sure that there is no issues, that if communities have issues, what just Michael have experienced should not have happened to him and his family. And if they were scheduled, the entire family, they should all get it, you know. And we will look into that, Michael. You can just follow up with me and email fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. I'll look into that and make sure we get the bottom of it. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Michael. And also, Charity says, I know they are seeing up a clinic in the community community place hub, as I have been seeing it being everything coming in daily. Yes, that's Charity. That's something we would like to welcome, because right there on the community place hub, or Western Mount Dennis community hub here in Western, is also will help expand to reach more people. We want that, and also we want more locations across our riding so that the community could get it quickly, since now we have been termed as hotspots and high risk area, and therefore we want also more locations right here in community like ours. I've also suggested in several times to the Minister of Health with York Recreational Center, and also many other, also 200 Church Street, 200 the Farmer Humber River Hospital location, and also last week I also suggested Western Lions Arena right here in Lawrence and Little Avenue. There I think would be a great idea that also folks to have their vaccines there. And this is why we need the government to listen to us and bring, like as you mentioned, community hub place is good. We also want also West Park Healthcare to also have more role to play to help the part of the vaccines, because it's right here in Jane and Western as well that could also take part and also help and support that efforts as well. They're doing already, but we want them to also be getting more involved as well. Thank you. And Jerry says our entire streets gets flooded. Yes, Jerry, I know Liscombe, it floods heavily. A lot of and I know that also the city elections in 2018, the summertime, there was a lot of folks who showed up. The engineers, the city managers. I was there. I still remember what they said, that they're going to get the bottom of it, and we want that to be done. I say you should follow the city councillor and ask him where is updates to that end. I suppose that would be the way to start. But my end also will also do our part to make sure the ombudsman also looks into this. What are the gaps and what is happening to the flooding after these problems keep coming back again and again. And I think it's issue of infrastructure, Jerry, and we need to tackle that. And also we want accountability too. If work's done, we want that work is done properly. And we want also the city engineers to hold those contractors accountable to make sure the job is done and it's done proper. And this is what the community have been saying it. They have been asking the ombudsman to look into this. That is the city ombudsman. Unfortunately, this year wasn't included. We don't know why, but I have also asked the Ontario ombudsman if there is also, if they can look into that issue from the provincial perspective, and we'll see if they take that initiative, and we'll continue to updating you on that. Okay, Jerry, thank you, Jerry. And Frank here, Michael, Frank says, just give me a minute. Let me go here quickly. Just give me a minute. I don't want to miss anybody. Frank says, Michael Anthony, I think he's communicating with Michael, so I'll just leave that for those engaging in the comment to engage with that. Kerry says, our city councillor is also useless. I think still she is the city councillor for the community. I think it is your responsibility also to engage with the city councillor and make her accountable to make sure that you bring your concerns, you know, because she's responsible in the municipal jurisdiction. And that's very important that you engage and make sure your issues are addressed from our office. Definitely, I know many of you are contacting us for municipal issues, federal issues, and we're happy to take them and try to connect their offices. Also, if we can solve those issues, we will be happy to do so. But also, we want you also to engage them because they too are elected and they are your representatives. Okay, I'll just leave it there. Jerry says completely useless and extremely ineffective. That's referring to the comments of Jerry. And also Zach says, hi Faisal, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Zach, welcome. And quickly today, I will just take the comments of the folks who are joining. And if you are just joining, you're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP, my page, Facebook page, and also my Instagram and Twitter, and also YouTube. Welcome. We're trying to make sure to carry on simultaneously all these platforms so you can also connect to us on Saturdays from 3 to 4. Curry says, Bill 184 makes signing rent agreements for being behind on rent very dangerous. Tenants can organize, reach out to work. York Southwestern Tenant Union found them on Facebook. Yes, absolutely. It is very important, Curry, that tenants also organize, get together, and understand the issues involved, especially the Bill 184, which was a terrible bill, to be honest. I'm proud to vote against it. It doesn't protect anyone, basically. It makes unfair to everybody here, because we want our justice system to be also fair to the tenants and to the landlords. And by simply drafting a contract and just evicting, it's not a good bill. I agree with you, Carrie, that tenants must organize, and also if there is issues, you can also contact our office. We'll do our best to intervene and try to advocate those issues, but it's also a huge problem in our community and across the province. So it would require everybody getting involved, everybody organizing, and making sure that our community are supported. I agree with you. Contacting tenants, York Southwestern Tenants Union is important as well. Thank you. Michael says they said they didn't have the ability to do it and didn't have anyone to contact to make that exemption. Well, this is the problem. That's why we say if the ministry or the provincial downloading to localities and issues like this happens, how do we solve them? We need somebody there or a number they can call to make those decisions quickly, so that, you know, the entire family, because you are living together, so they should get at the same time the shots. It makes sense. So I think this is wrong. We've also been told this week that the people who have had appointments were returned because they didn't have their health card. Either they have lost or it's an old one, they can't find it in the home, and that's not right. They told us that it will not require to have your health card to get your vaccines. So if you have any stories like that, please let me know. You can write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. Or you can call us at our constituency phone number 416-243-7984. Thank you. And Connie, welcome. And Frank says, Western Lions Arena would be a great place, great location, lots of parking and public space to keep the site safe. Indeed, Frank, thank you. And here in our arena, Western Lions Arena, it's a right place. And now they're wondering what to do since they have announced since Friday. Well, this is a good idea to include kind of a hub, permanent vaccination facility. People could come, they can bike, they can walk, they can also take the bus. It's very convenient and it's very important, and others can also just come to easily to travel. And to this day, Frank, we do not have a permanent vaccination facility in our community. And this is the same story. It took us 6 months and a half to get a COVID testing, permanent COVID testing facility in our community, and later on many pop-ups that came. I want also here to take the opportunity to thank the folks at Humber River Hospital who have been working with us in my office and delivering to many senior buildings to the vaccines. Yesterday, they arrived and they did it 1901 Western Road. There were some communications broke down there because some of the residents were not aware that was happening, and I think we can work better with the TCHC to then other buildings that they run in our community to make sure we could have a better coordination, and we can also maybe organize again if you know they can organize those who want to get their vaccines right there in 1901 Western Road. Zach, welcome, and says, Faisal, hi, Faisal Hassan, how about small businesses get support? Indeed, yes, very important. Small businesses are struggling in our community. They are, and we know that the big store boxes have been really getting a lot of support. And we also know that they were allowed many non-essentials to sell it, and many of the small businesses have really struggled. And I hear you loud and clear. And current budget that the government proposed, this budget, they are not expanding our safe mainstream plan. They are not simply adding others, businesses that have been excluded before. They are not making it much easier because many of you have been rejected, even though you qualify. It takes time and efforts to then apply again, and then to also contact our office, to contact them. And also we know many taxi drivers have not been also specifically not been included. There's kind of a confusion what codes they will use, and there are small businesses that are also need support. Definitely, I agree with you. Our plan, when we put Safe Main Street, my leader Andrea Horvath was here. She came here in York Southwestern and announced also again our Safe Main Street. We want to give Main Street small businesses a rent relief and other supports. And I think that's very important that we do. But this government's support, it is becoming challenging because a lot of them, it's taking a long time to process it and also to apply. And some of them have also been rejected even though they qualify. So I have stated this, my debate on the budget, and I will continue to raise that. We want to make sure this is addressed quickly. Okay, and thank you. And we know that small businesses are doing a very good job. They're close to the community. It has been said 80% of the jobs are created by small businesses. Definitely, we need to support. And as you know, our Safe Main Street plan was supported by all the BIAs. You know, also the Ontario Chamber of Commerce says it is the right thing to do. And definitely, you know, we want to make sure our small businesses are here after the COVID-19, you know, and that's also, we'll also continue to advocate making sure that there's support for our small businesses. Well, thank you, Zach. Welcome, Nasra. And Jared says, Ford government failed everyone. I agree. And they have been saying so many things again and again, but there's no action, delivery. And we also hear Angelina concerns as well. And this is also, again, so much contradictions and confusion. And we need clarity. We need clear leadership, and an NDP government will provide that clear and swift, putting people first for people of Ontario. Well, thank you, Jardy, for acknowledging that. Jerry says, let me just expand this. 18 years olds in high-risk area are able to book a Downsview Arena today. When they got there, they were not allowed. What is going on? They had an appointment and were turned away. So this is again, we said again, the government announces something and they say, you don't need your car to get your vaccinations. The community, as we heard also Michael Anthony, that there's no one there. And now again, people have been told at 8 a.m. Friday to book it, but people are turned away according to Jerry's report now. And we want action. We need clarity. And we want to make sure Monday, when I go back to the legislature, I want to make sure that we want answers. How to book, where to go to get the vaccines for the high-risk area and hotspots. We need to know exactly what is the rollout, what is the plan, and we want them to communicate with us with clarity and clear language so there's no confusion. And if people have an appointment, then why are they turned? We need them to answer that as well, Jerry. Well, thank you for sharing. And folks, if you have stories like that, write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. Thank you. And those of you who are just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP page, Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and my Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also my YouTube. So we are trying to simultaneously to reach where you are every Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and answer your questions. Ivan, welcome, Ivan, for joining us again, says, hello, Mr. Hassan. Well, hello, Ivan, hope you're doing well. Hope you get your vaccine. I know that Frank has gotten already. Ainab, welcome. Ayan, Amina, welcome. Zach, welcome. And also Jerry, welcome. Ayan says, greetings to you all. And also here we have Angelina. Oh, yes, Angelina says, let me just expand that. It's long, Angelina. I'll try to maybe capture some of it. I hear quite regularly from parents who, additional to the financial strain created by virtual learning, are extremely worried about the pathological fear and anxiety that the government of Ontario restrictions have created. For example, she says, Angelina, children who receive constant fear and guilt messaging at school, which the children interrupt as if you take your mask off, you will kill somebody, has led to, she said, children who do not want to take their mask off inside their own house, children who are afraid to sleep without their mask, children who are afraid to hug their parents, children who are afraid to play with their siblings, etc. And well, thank you for sharing, Angelina, for the observations and also for the concerns you have stated. And she continues, she says, the pathological culture of fear that the government of Ontario has created has led to this unhealthy mass hysteria. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts there. I appreciate them. And Ivan, welcome. Jerry says, I have no answer from her, from Francis Naziara, City Councillor. Well, I hear you. Definitely, we have raised to the Ontario Ombudsman the concerns that you have brought us. They've said that it's not part of the report, even though it has interviewed the community, but it's not been included the final report. And I think maybe if there's a case here for the Ontario Ombudsman to look into this and to get the bottom of the community's concern. And that's why the Ombudsman was created, to address the community's concern. And we want them to do their job. And definitely we want the Ontario Ombudsman to do that part. Thanks, thank you. Welcome, Margarita. Welcome, Yusuf. And Jared says, I just hope that everyone who can get a shot gets it, so we all can beat this virus. I say yes, together, definitely. And since now the government is saying our community, because we are hotspots on high-risk area, that we can get it, people will be able to get it. And a lot of people wanting to get it, but where do they get it? We need the clarity. We need to end this confusion. We need the government to tell us where in our community people could go, permanent vaccination facility. To this day, Charity, we have none. There are The now Westpark Health Center is also rolling out, working with the community place hub, which is great. We want them to do more places. And also, I know that my office have been working with Humber River Hospital, and they have also been very good to us. They have actually done a lot to with their team headed by Ruben Rodriguez and also Bob Collins. And we thank them for really working with us, my office, and making sure that we reach out seniors, the community leaders, the community, and also those community senior homes. We want that to be done, but if this government has more ideas, we would like to work with them to make sure we can set up many locations where people could simply get their vaccines, they can book it, give us clear communications with regard to this. And we don't have it with this government at the moment. Well, thank you, Charity. Definitely people are wanting to get their vaccines, but they need this government to work with us to provide a permanent vaccination facility, not only one, but many locations, so that people like high risk and hotspots communities can get their vaccines quickly, even before the lockdown ends. We were willing to work with them, but still, we've just heard this morning that people who wanted to Downsview booked their appointment on the ages 18 and above. They have been told, no, they cannot get their vaccines. If this report is accurate and it has been stated that has happened, then this is failure. It's not working, and we want clarity, and we want to find out why this is happening. And thank you. Terry, welcome. Jackson, Dell, welcome. Ivan, and Frank says, Angelina, he's just communicating with someone else. I'll just leave with that. You guys can engage with that discussion among yourselves. Those who just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP, Facebook page, and also my Instagram and my Twitter and also my YouTube, to hear every day from me from 3 to 4, to come together to bring your coffee and tea and to talk about the important issues that are affecting our community. And I can also read your comments and also answer your questions. Jerry says here, when they booked appointment, it assigned Downsview Arena with a date and time. So what is the issue exactly? Well, I think Downsview is run by Humber River Hospital. We'll be able to figure out. We can maybe communicate with them and get what's the problem there. And if it is because of the new announcement that Friday was made, and they already have other restrictions which they are not telling the public, we want to know about that, so that it's not the frontline workers who are really doing the work, who are doing superb job. Definitely, this is the Ford Conservatives' responsibility to make sure that if they announce something that hotspots, high risk communities like ours, then when they make the appointment, then we want that to be also communicated to the folks on the ground, what that means and what it is. And otherwise, it won't make sense. They just have an announcement, they have a press conference every other day, and then the same story is repeated again and again and again. Now we are 1 year and a half, and we are just deep into more crisis. We want results and we want action. And if people book their appointment, then they should get their vaccines right away. They can't turn them away. If that is because you don't have supplies, then why do you book the appointment? Why don't you communicate with that before that happens? And I think that's a fair question to ask. We want them to answer those questions. Thank you. Charity says, I will find out if we get turned away on Wednesday when we go for our first shot, as I booked an appointment for both of us. Fantastic. So that's great. Let us know, Charity, before, Thursday or Friday, or even you can also share your experience next Saturday when we join together from 3 to 4, so that we hear how was experience and how was situation there. Okay, let me know about that. Well, thank you. Thank you, folks, for joining. And folks, I know that some of you are joining Facebook page and YouTube and also Instagram and also Twitter. This week, we already talked about the province announced a declaration of emergency and also provide a province-wide stay-at-home order. This is incredibly disappointing news that is a direct result of a failure of a leadership. For weeks, doctors, epidemiologists, and advocates for equity in health have been sounding the alarm, only to be ignored by Premier Ford, and they urge the government to take steps sooner to protect public health in the face of variants of concern, only to have the Premier look the other way. It didn't have to be this way. We need bold leadership from the Premier, rather than have measures meant to appease his caucus and wealthy donors. Keeping our community safe requires action, not the reactive approach taken by this government. Since the beginning of the vaccine rollout, I have been engaged with local community stakeholders, including Humber River Hospital, to ensure vaccine access to our most vulnerable communities. To date, over 500 seniors in our community have received their first dose of vaccine through these mobile clinics, with more to come. You know, with this partnership with Humber River Hospital and our office. And yesterday, we were at 1901 Western Road, and we are looking to also expand access to essential frontline workers that continue to serve our community during the lockdown. We are working to identify homebound seniors needing vaccinations, and I have written to the Minister of Health insisting on a permanent vaccination clinic in our community. I have suggested the historic Western Lions Arena as a possible site. And before also, I have suggested the York Recreational Center, the 200 Church Street, which is also the old hospital, and also the Jane Hub at the Jane and Trutui, and also many other locations that are also needed to quickly, people could come and get their vaccines as soon as, they coordinate the call centers and also the bookings. I will continue to advocate for resources to support our community and keep us safe. Paid sick days continue to be a major missing piece that the government is inexcusably choosing to ignore. And we have been fighting to bring paid sick days. It's said that 60% of workers do not have paid sick days. And this government talks about a federal paid sick days. And the differences. The federal paid sick days does not apply and does not support many members of our community. And if you are a responsible person and you feel sick and you don't want to affect other co-workers, the federal plan does not help that. So we need paid sick days to make sure if you feel sick, you stay home. And this was also the bill my colleague from London West has proposed at the legislature, and I was proud to support it, But to this day, this government hasn't supported paid sick days for workers. And it's unfortunate, and we need it. And paid sick days have seen the federal program fall short in many ways and are looking to the province for leadership. And because the federal paid sick days does not meet many of the workers of Ontario's requirements. And we need, and the workers are looking to leadership, to a province for leadership. And we need to make sure that we support paid sick days for workers here in our community. And the ICUs are seeing more working age adults who cannot work from home, as well as their family members fill beds. Let us listen to the advice of experts and give the highest risk essential workers that support they need to keep themselves, their family, and our community safe. And I know also our teachers also have also been neglected in this sense. Teachers have been patient, and majority of them have been told you are getting your vaccines in July, and that's not acceptable. We want them to also propose to work, maybe to take them into a mobile vaccinations, and to do that actually will make sense, like we are doing for our seniors. And I think we'll engage that discussion with Humber River Hospital to see if that can be done as well. Well, thank you. And quickly, I'll go to take your comments quickly. Betty, welcome. Betty, based on what medical criteria are these lockdowns based on? Well, that's a very good question. I think I'm not a medical expert, and I think that's the question we need to ask the Premier, and that's a very good question because what I will rely on is the experts on this issue, the doctors, the medical doctors who are the experts. And this Premier and this government hasn't been listening to them. If they would have listened to them earlier, I think we would not be the situation in which we found ourselves now. And Josh, welcome. Josh Robin says, Michael Anthony, that is much crap. It's like saying in a group home only one worker can be vaccinated. I work a one-to-one, never heard that. You see, so I think they are not doing a very good job at all. If the family had that appointment, if the family, one of the member of the family gets it, why not all of them? I agree. So this is not right, and we need to get the bottom of that. You can send me an email. We'll make sure we get the bottom of this, Michael. And Betty says here, let me just get that quickly. There are over 50 reviewed studies that prove that lockdowns do not work. Here are only some. I think it's long, but I won't be able to read all of them. Maybe I will just take one of your the studies you mentioned here, Betty. Government actions such as border closure, full lockdowns, and high-rate COVID-19 testing were not associated with statistics significant reductions in the number of critical cases or overall morality. Well, folks, if you want to read more about that, the information that Betty said, you can also engage with the discussions there. I'll try to take, because I don't have much time, I want to also give opportunity for other folks as well for their comments. Well, those who are joining, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP page, and also my Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also my YouTube. And also, that's so long, Betty. Maybe next time summarize it. I won't be able to read the whole thing, but it also are sources where people can read if for discussions afterwards. Well, thank you. Welcome Najib, welcome Stacy, and welcome Betty here. Says ICU capacity as a systemic problem, not a pandemic problem. Okay, see you. Thank you for that as well. There's a source also there. All right. Well, thank you. Well, thanks. Thank you, folks, for that. And those who just joined, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP. We join you every Saturday from 3 to 4 to hear your concerns and talk about the week's important issues. And that's very important. I think last week we also, I think we have, let me just see my notes quickly. If I missed anything, I think, no, we haven't there. Very good. So basically, we also celebrated Easter and also Passover last week. And I think next week, Ramadan is going to begin. And definitely we will also welcome Ramadan and also definitely we'll also talk about it when that happens the following weeks and so on. And every Saturday you can join me from 3 to 4 here to hear your concerns. And if you still have any concerns you would like to share with me, you can also write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. Well, thank you. And also expanded vaccine access to hotspots communities is something I welcome. And this would have happened, this would have been a priority, should have been a priority to begin with. Ontario will begin allowing people aged 18 plus to get the COVID-19 vaccine in hotspot communities via mobile teams, including faith-based locations and on-site with large employers as well, which we welcome. Details of the plan continue to be finalized, but the list of targeted postal codes is included much of our community, and also the high-risk areas and hotspots. It's also part of that. But still, to this day, we don't have more clear outline of how this is going to happen. And definitely on Monday, I would like to ask the government to clarify this clearly, how this is going to be rolled out. Communities like mine, communities like ours, which doesn't have a permanent vaccination facility, where do we go? And we hear this morning some of the folks who have wrote to us, Jerry and Anthony, Michael, who have been turned away. And Jerry shared a story that people who have booked of 18 and above ages who booked the appointment, when they arrived, they were told you can't get your vaccines. So if this is an issue that has happened, we want to know how many persons or individuals it happened to. Please write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. And you can phone me 416-243-7984. And I would be happy to follow up to find out why that was the case. And if that was already, this is happening, then how are we going to tackle the hotspots and high risk communities like ours to tackle this issue? Because it's a big issue, and we have, our community have come like afterthought. We have been neglected, not only the last 3 years, but the last 15 years. And this is also a case in point I'll share with you, because when the emergency was declared in March 13 last year, it took us almost 8 months plus to get a COVID-19 testing, a permanent testing facility in our community, where other communities, it just took quickly and right away. And also we had also many issues which we dealt with, but also it took also people to get their results for days and days. And that we have learned from that mistake, and we've moved on. We've learned some lessons about it, but we don't want the same lessons continue to our community. How come we don't have a permanent vaccination facility right here in our community of York Southwestern? And that's why we want them to have as much locations, facilities where people could simply come, either book it or just show up. And that's where I think is important to get quicker at those areas that are high risk and hotspots. We, the official opposition, can propose some ideas to make things better. I have written to the Minister of Health to actually propose locations in our community. One of them is the Western Lions Arena, the 200 Church Street as well, the old hospital, the Jane Hub, which is also can accommodate that. They also they've been doing also COVID testings there. There's also a York Recreational Center, which they were doing also COVID testing pop-ups, and many others. Now we heard that also the Western Mountains a community hub. It's also partnering with also Westpac Health, which is great. We want more places like that. We want to make sure that the community gets their vaccines right away. And that is also something I'm going to make sure. So Monday, I'm going to go back to Queen's Park and I'll be raising this issue to make sure we want clarity and we want also more places of mobile or permanent locations to do the vaccination facility. Folks, thank you for joining me this afternoon. Thank you. And again, I'll see you again next Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m. And bring your coffee and your tea. I know some of you will be fasting next Saturday, but you can also join and you can also participate, your comments and your also questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Until then, folks, I want to say to you, enjoy the rest of the weekend and goodbye. Thank you.